One of the most enduring ghost stories of Acadia concerns the spirits from its very first European settlement, a doomed colony of French Jesuits. These forlorn spirits stalk the southwestern shores of Mount Desert Island. The ghosts of the dead Jesuits manifest themselves in a secret grotto, a bewitching spring, and in the deep shadows of Flying Mountain and St. Sorver. While the tales themselves are disturbing, there is a deeper source to the dread they inspire than the spirits of the murdered Jesuits. Indeed, these ghost stories form only the nucleus of a maze of terror stretching across the whole island. In this strange set of circumstances lurks the true center of horror. The short-lived settlement once stood on Fernal Point in southwestern harbor. Seen from above on Eagle Cliff, located on Flying Mountain, the regions below glisten like paradise. Green points of land, stark blue water, mountains plunging into the sea, and the vista of Somme Sound, the only natural fjord on the east coast of the United States. This deep ocean channel was cut during the last ice age by an enormous glacier, almost slicing the island in half. In the spring of 1613, a ship called the Jonas set out from France, carrying 48 passengers. Among them was a group of young Jesuits hoping to start a religious colony in the New World. Their destination was Kenduskeag, Maine, on the Penobscot River. Blinding fog in Frenchman Bay, together with a fateful series of events, induced the young missionaries to found their city of gold at the head of Somme Sound on Mount Desert Island. They called the place St. Sorver. In their idealism, they neglected to build fortifications or make any plans for their defense. The first thing they did was build a chapel, and lovely indeed must have been the sound of the bell ringing that first morning. The Penobscot Indians, living across the Narrows in Northeast Harbor, came with as much curiosity as goodwill. Close ties of friendship were soon formed. In this utopia, an English warship arrived late in the summer. The captain of the ship was a deceitful and bloodthirsty man named Samuel Argall. He had sailed down to Acadia specifically to obliterate any attempts at French settlement. Seeing the Jesuit colony, he bore down on its ship anchored at the head of the sound. The small crew of men on board hardly had a chance to send out a sign of friendly welcome before the English warship attacked. The English ship of 130 tons was manned by 60 men and armed to the hilt. There was no question as to the outcome. The craft raced down on the Jonas and unloaded 14 guns in a shower of cannonballs and grape shot. When it was over, 8 Jesuits had died of wounds or drowning. Some of the wounded French hid in a secret grotto previously shown to them by the Indians. This remarkable cavern on Fernal Point has an underwater entrance, but leads up to an air-filled cavern at the base of Flying Mountain. There, the wounded died, already entombed within the enclosures of the earth. Others fled up into the mountains, only to give themselves up later because they were starving. Survivors from the ill-fated colony were sold into slavery or cast adrift on the open ocean. Some dead bodies were placed in unmarked graves on Fernal Point. The godless Argall even went so far as to burn the cross from the Jesuit chapel. The tormented spirits of the murdered Jesuits haunt the region and offer a solemn warning to all who encounter them. These ghosts appear in the deep shadows of Flying Mountain and St. Sorver Mountain, at Abe's Retreat, and sometimes in Gold Digger's Glen, leading to the theory that fleeing Jesuits buried the treasure supposedly located there. The place most haunted, however, is Jesuit Spring, located 2/3 of the way down Fernal Point. Spellbinding and inaccessible, Jesuit Spring lives up to its reputation as a place of enchantment. Out of a crag in the rocks in the beach flows a pure stream of fresh water. This spring spills over a little beach of silver sand and crushed shells that sparkle underwater when the tide is high. Despite its beauty, people rarely visit the place. Islanders avoid Jesuit Spring, knowing that boats docked there have a habit of completely disappearing. Other strange things have taken place as well. Many people have heard the sounds of men praying in French, accompanied by the splashing of oars. People sometimes see the apparition of a murdered Jesuit holding a cross and looking up with imploring eyes. At other times, the whole spring turns red, a ghastly river of blood. Tradition holds that the Jesuits haunt this spring because they were buried nearby, or perhaps killed there. Another possibility concerns a fabled ring supposedly lost in the vicinity. A Jesuit named Gilbert Duthet received the ring from the French noblewoman who financed their expedition. This Templar ring was made of gold and contained a carnelian stone the color of blood. In a popular novel from the 1800s, someone finds the ring, but no one has ever discovered the real object. If indeed it truly exists, this fabled treasure is rumored to contain intense supernatural powers. Without a doubt, the most frightening aspect to the Jesuit ghost stories is their prophetic quality. As it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end, goes an old saying, which applies to these tales, for they form a legacy most monstrous, not about the past, but about the future. This is because the destruction of the first European settlement foreshadowed so many disasters to come. Over and over again in the history and lore of Mount Desert Island, the terrifying face of destruction returns to wipe the place clean. The Great Fire of 1947 was only the last of these cataclysmic happenings. In a certain sense, the dark pattern of circumstances points to the possibility that the whole place is cursed. Over the centuries, fire has scorched the island again and again, but this was only one of many forms of destruction on Mount Desert. Warfare was mostly responsible for causing the complete abandonment of the place between 1700 and 1765. Although Native Americans had occupied the island for thousands of years, and one of the great unsolved mysteries of history, a search party of 100 men vanished without a trace in the fall of 1739. Smallpox and other diseases decimated the place, and an outbreak of cholera in 1873 almost snuffed out Bar Harbor's tourist industry in its infancy. Meanwhile, the island experiences tremors and earthquakes, as if to signal more upheavals to come. Native American lore is replete with dark supernatural entities from Pemetic, the original name of Mount Desert Island. In a certain sense, these terrifying phantoms give a face to a much more ancient and mysterious force of destruction. And yet, Mount Desert Island still shines as one of the most beautiful places on Earth. Could it be that the natural beauty masks the island's truly dark and destructive side? If so, we are no different than the French Jesuits, so captivated by the wonders of the place that they never foresaw the dangers around the bend. Even the name of their boat, the Jonas, was ill-fated. On their arrival in Frenchman Bay, the Jesuits were met with several other warning signs never taken seriously. For a long time, they were lost in a fog so thick they could see nothing, though they knew deadly rocks stood nearby. When the fog finally lifted, a dreadful sense appeared before them. The Jonas first landed in Compass Harbor, where the Jesuits saw smoke from Indian fires, and they heard from the beach a commotion of wailing sobs and cries of grief. A funeral was taking place. The very first thing the French Jesuits saw on Mount Desert, clearly another bad omen. The overcast skies only added to the melancholy gloom shrouding the coast. Later that day, across the island, the sun broke from the clouds and showered gold upon the mountain valley by the sea. Venturing forth into this earthly paradise, the Jesuits forgot their only trepidations, and the rest is history. Like wheels within wheels, the Jesuit ghost stories of 1613 draw in many legends and accounts of the supernatural on Mount Desert Island. What frightens us most about the ghosts is the bleak warning they have to offer. As if to alert us to a danger lurking unseen, these dark-robed phantoms keep appearing century after century, yet their solemn message goes unheard. Hey guys, Reaper here. I just wanted to thank you all for either watching or listening, whether you're on YouTube or Spotify. This story was brought to you from Ghosts of Acadia, written by Marcus Labrizzi and published by Down East Books. I wanted to give both of them a huge thank you and a huge shout out for letting me bring this book to you guys, whether it's in audio form on Spotify or in video form on YouTube. If you want to check out the book for yourself, I will leave a link down below in the description in both Spotify and on YouTube, so you can go check out the book for yourself and support the original author and original publisher. New story coming out tomorrow night. And until then, remember, sleep well, my friends.